The Labour Party tried to rig the election by registering people without knowing. The Lib Dems deselected a candidate just because it's Catholic. And we look at each party's election donations. Universities and Labour councils have been accused of registering thousands of students to vote without their knowledge in a bid to boost left-wing turnout. An investigation in Unicity, Plymouth, has so far identified 850 students and under 17-year-olds on the electoral register who had not completed their own applications. Now, we always talk about the left-wing, especially the Labour Party, rigging the elections, and some people always say, okay, fine, even if it happens, even if against the law, it's only a few hundred people. But actually, let's look at some facts, because back in 2015, when the David Cameron's Conservative Party won the election, they even got an okay majority. And people said, well, we got a majority, the Conservatives got a lot of votes. But actually, in reality, what happened was the Conservative Party in that election won by about 900 votes across the country. That's 900 votes from various marginal seats. So 850 people, if they do actually end up voting in two places, back at home and back in the university town, that's in one seat or a couple of seats, that does matter. And so don't just look at the number as, oh, it's just only a three-figure number, it doesn't really matter. 3 Tory candidates in the southwest last night wrote to the Electoral Commission to ask for a full investigation amid suspicions that the same process is being carried out nationwide. One candidate, Defence Minister Johnny Mercer, told The Sun, "My fear is that many councils and universities might also be doing this. Where seats are held or lost with just double-digit numbers, this practice could have a strategic impact in the outcome of the election." And obviously, this is the whole problem we have right now with this specific election. A lot of people say that, yes, the Tories are leading and it's a big margin. Boris Johnson is very popular across the country. Labour are actually close to becoming the third party if they keep doing badly. But actually, in reality, that's just not how our first past the post system works, because a 3-digit figure across the country in various marginal seats could stop the leave-leaning votes, the Brexit votes, whether it's the Tories or the Brexit Party, and we could end up either with a hung parliament or even, at worst, with a left-wing party in government or Jeremy Corbyn. So thank God for people like Johnny Mercer and other candidates who have raised this issue, because this could be a big problem, not just in terms of tactically in this election, but actually it's just against the law, for God's sake. It's not right to do things like this, and someone has to speak out. Now, we've always talked about this. There are two issues with doing things like the gerrymandering and rigging the elections. One is bad because you could end up with a different party in parliament, in government, and it could destroy everything that we have in terms of our agenda. But in reality, it's just against the law, and it's just not right to do this. And the whole country is not Tower Hamlets. You can't treat the whole country like as a corrupt council, and someone has to do something. And the Electoral Commission, who's supposed to be overseeing this, they're not really competent. They're not. We know that they're biased. There are a number of people at the top of the Electoral Commission who are biased, and they have their own agenda. Look what they did to one of the Vote Leave activists, Darren Grimes, who was a young activist who was basically just running one of the wings of the Vote Leave, Leave campaign. And they went after him. They said the whole Vote Leave basically broke the law. And in reality, the courts basically decided that it wasn't true. No one actually broke the law when it came to the Leave campaign. But that's what they do. Do they ever question the other side? Have you ever seen, not just them, but the mainstream media? Have you ever seen, because we talk about a lot about the fact-checking and everything these days, with what the Tory party did the other night as a stunt, just to have some fun on Twitter. They changed their name to the Fact Check UK, which everybody freaked out. Yes, it was silly, it was unnecessary, but everybody freaked out because they thought Twitter is the real life. It's actually not the real life. And but in reality, have you ever seen any of these fact-check people, for example, going around saying the Labour Party and Jeremy Corbyn claims that Donald Trump is going to buy the NHS? Have you ever seen any fact-checking by these organizations saying that actually, let's do a fact-check, America is not going to buy the NHS because you can't buy the NHS. It doesn't work that way. Have you ever seen any fact-checking about what happened with one of the left-wing candidates Sue Wixley, who was going around and claiming that she won the Nobel Peace Prize, even though she hadn't won the Nobel Peace Prize. No one fact-checked that. So these people are not really impartial. So don't rely on these people. Now, in other news, we talk about the Lib Dems. The Liberal Democrats have decided to deselect one of their candidates. Why? Because he's religious. Yeah, seriously. He's religious. He believes in God. Now, the majority of this country, the majority of people on this planet believe in God. Now, as most of you know, I myself, I don't. I'm an atheist. But at the same time, firstly, when it comes to the values of this country and the Western civilization, I do believe in the Judeo-Christian values. I believe in the values that created our systems. And I have respect for anyone who has any belief. And you should be able to have the freedom to practice your religion, and that's the whole point. And historically speaking, we've had laws in favor of religious rights. You could have and freedom of thought. If you want to choose to be an atheist, you're free. If you want to choose to be a Catholic or any other religion, you should be free to do that. In reality, the Liberal Democrats and the loony left have gone too far, because they don't believe in equality and they don't believe in rights. Basically, as we said, the Lib Dems decided to deselect this candidate just because he was a Catholic. Robert Flello, as you can see in this picture with his German Shepherd Diesel in Westminster, the party have said that they decided to get rid of him because his values diverge from theirs. Robert Flello was ditched for the Stoke-on-Trent South constituency just 36 hours after the party named him as the prospective parliamentary candidate. It has been widely reported in the media that his voting record against abortion and same-sex marriage were the cause for his deselection. They've said that we do our best to screen candidates in our approval process. That's what the party spokesman said. And they said that in this case, it only really became clear over the past few hours how greatly his values diverge from ours. And so this is one of the issues we have in politics in the West these days, because let's talk about the main three parties: the Conservatives, Labour and the Liberal Democrats, because these are the sort of parties that claim to be the mainstream parties in politics, right? They say that they are an open church. You could have various views, various values, and they could discuss these differences within each party. Fair enough. But in reality, that's not the case. And in reality, they target specific groups. So the Labour Party and the Liberal Democrats specifically target certain religions. So if you're a Catholic, if you're a Christian, then you have a lot of problems in the Lib Dems and even the Labour Party, especially if you're Jewish in the Labour Party. But would they ever dare to complain if they have a candidate who happens to be Muslim? Would they ever dare to deselect that person just because he's a Muslim? I'm going to say no, because that's never happened. Because for some reason, they are put in a whole different category. You cannot touch them. Whereas different religions, again, we're talking about Christianity, despite your views, you'll be kicked out. So I understand that the Liberal Democrats have liberal values. They want to have liberal policies. But in reality, one of the former leaders was actually very Christian. We had Tim Farron, who was very Christian. He didn't like gay marriage and that sort of stuff. But the truth is, for example, we have a Conservative MP, Jacob Rees-Mogg. Jacob Rees-Mogg is a Catholic. He's always clarified that his personal opinion, because he's a Catholic, he's not really in favour of policies such as same-sex marriage or even abortion, but he's also clarified that this is his personal views because of his religion. He doesn't want to actually change the law. You do not get your personal views in terms of your religion and politics and the state involved. And that's the whole point. Whereas in reality, what we're seeing from the Lib Dems and left-wing parties is that they don't understand that. If they do try to get rid of all these people just because they have different views, every human on this planet has a different view from each other. You can't have a party with everybody agreeing with everything on all levels. It's just virtually impossible. But this is what they want. They want to have a clique. They want to have an echo chamber, and this is dangerous not just for our democracy but just for the whole country and on a societal level. So as I said, as someone who is not really particularly religious, I'm an atheist, but I defend fully the rights of people to have their personal views, whether it's on a religious level or on a societal level. It doesn't really matter. So this is what we're dealing with during this election. And we're going to keep reporting on various parties throughout this whole campaign. So if you want to make sure that you stay up to date, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click on the bell next to it. And if you want to stay up to date with everything else on a daily basis or an hourly basis, because I do rant a lot on Twitter, make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram. You could see what we do behind the scenes. And we also have some good news for you guys, because a lot of you have requested these new t-shirt designs. As you know, we have the merchandise side. You can find the link in the description. We have the new ones, which is the Get Brexit Done t-shirts, Make Britain Independent Again. You could find that in a form of t-shirts and also other type of merchandise. As I said, you can find the link in the description. You can check it out if you have different designs. As always, I'm Tousi, and I'll see you tomorrow with a new video.